Hello, everyone. Welcome to FinTalk World Talk Show presented by Liquidity Creators. Today, we have Mr. Siddharth Kumar with us. Mr. Kumar is Assistant Vice President for Finance Change Delivery with HSBC Bank, and he has over 16 years of experience in the finance and banking domain specifically. He's actually responsible for delivering and implementing finance change projects across Europe and Asia Pacific regions for HSBC Global Finance. We actually have a lot to discuss about him, but I would of course leave it to him. So without further ado, let me introduce you to the man himself. Hi, Mr. Kumar. How are you doing?
Hi, Sagar. Very well. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to be part of this program. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to this interaction.
Pleasure all, Asta. Thank you very much for joining us. All right. So, as I said, I've tried my level best to cover things about yourself, but I would, of course, want our audience to know about yourself in your own words. So, I'll put that in perspective in terms of the questions that we have for you for today. So, I'll start with the first one. What basically motivated you to choose the financial sector as a domain of work, and how has been your career span so far?
Okay. So, I think choosing the financial sector, I would rather say that the financial sector chose me because for me, it was a natural progression landing up in the finance area. Back in the school days, I was about an average student and was not very good with mathematics. So, science was always out of my scope. So, I chose the commerce stream. And uh, when I was part of, I think as part of the commerce stream, I think I really liked economics and accountancy as subjects, and I used to score good marks with, especially in accountancy. I liked preparing the income statements and balance sheets, and I was fond of learning more about that subject. So uh, and then during my graduation, I think I got a chance to do an internship with Engineers India Limited, which is one of the premier PSUs in the finance and budgeting domain. So, and I think that internship basically gave me a real world exposure of this area of how things really happen on the floor and how what are the kind of tasks that we need to do as part of that. And I would say that was kind of a trigger area for me to understand that where I actually belong to. After completing my graduation, I did a short stint with an HR consultancy firm as well. And I think that again kind of made me think that I'm actually inclined towards more towards finance rather than HR. And back in 2006, I finally joined Fidelity International, which is one of the UK's largest mutual fund providers. And I was handling the portfolios of high net worth individuals and corporate customers. I worked there for a period of approximately 4.5 years. And I then went to pursue my MBA from the Ford School of Management, wherein I again did my majors in the finance domain. I think after that, I think I got an opportunity to join the HSBC Global Finance Change team, and I've since been associated with that same organization, and I have spent close to almost 11, 12 years with this organizations, working across several teams across several geographies and different cultures. I think so. It has been a great learning experience. So I think that's how I landed up in finance, I would say.
That's very wonderful. Thank you very much for sharing that. I will take a keyword from there. I mean, the finance change which you are right now catering to. If you can sort of tell us more about the area of finance change and what has been your experience of working in this field.
Sure. So if I talk, so traditionally change management, I'll probably break that answer down into two parts. So I think traditionally change
Mhm.
management was thought more about an area that which involves tasks about communication, basically, wherein you communicate what is changing to the users and you tell them so and so things are changing on so and so dates, and you will probably see a new portal there and then. Uh, However, I think of late, and I think COVID is a great example. All organizations had to kind of undergo some amount of change. So the definition of change management underwent a major change. So it's not change management to say managing change. It's the organization that has to adjust to the change. So that was what was the initial thought about change management was. And if I talk about finance, then finance was basically looked upon as an area which was mainly for accountants who are maintaining ledgers or working in specific reporting teams or preparing financial reporting books of the area. Now, the finance change is something that marries the two. It's an area where we apply specific change management methodologies to deliver change in different areas, or I would say specific areas of finance and banking. Uh, so, to give you an example, if you have to transition a legacy financial system to the new operating model, and have to ensure that you face minimal resistance from your stakeholders, and have to ensure that the change is actually implemented, is adopted, and at the same time the benefits are achieved, you probably need a financial change consultant who understands the nitty-gritties of finance, and he also understands how project management and change management works, because that specific person would be able to uh, detail and design the steps and the activities that are required for your end-to-end journey, and will also be able to help you do an impact assessment for your area, for the individual area of finance, as to how what is the degree of impact that is going to happen. uh, I think banking per se, I think banking is an area which operates in a heavily regulated industry, and there are constant changes that are required to meet the evolving demands of the regulators, of the CXOs, of the board, of the shareholders. And I think challenges are even bigger for organizations that are operating in multiple geographies, because then you have an added purview of local regulators. So you have local regulators, you have a global perspective to meet, you have global stakeholders to meet. So I think this is basically how the finance change area looks like, and the kind of tasks that land up in the finance change plan. As part of, if I talk about my specific role, I think as part of this role, I have got a chance to work on multiple product systems. So let's say starting from the product systems that are used in the branch, at the branch level, credit card systems are there, term loans, mortgages, invoice financing, and then there is also a level of understanding that you need for the downstream reporting areas of how the transactions are recorded and how those transactions are actually landed up in the annual reports and accounts of the company. So you also need some level of understanding for the liquidity reporting, the capital reporting, the interest rate reporting, so those kind of things. So I think I would say that having worked in this area, my experience has been of a constant learning journey, because I have not only managed to work with the products, but I have also managed to work on the downstream aspect of how those things are actually recorded and reported. So I think that's what my area has been, and that's what my experience has been in working in this area.
Brilliant, brilliant. I must agree that some things are bouncer for me. Okay. But all in all, I'm just trying to get the layman's keyword here to understand the perspective. Um, for my understanding, and of course for our viewers' understanding, if we can get sort of an example, as in relating to your experience in this field, you must have worked on, some essential projects. So it would be great if you can share that. And I would also ask you, would you like to share an experience or your aim and objective based on which you conducted them?
Sure. Yes, Sagar. So I think during the course of my journey with HSBC, I think I have been fortunate enough to work on some of the key change initiatives that have transformed the way HSBC prepares its financial books. Uh, HSBC's growth, if I talk about historically, has been an inorganic growth, and one of the main problems with that type of growth is that you inherit a lot of legacy ERP systems and a lot of legacy ledgers that are disconnected with each other, that have a lot of tedious manual financial practices, and it becomes difficult to manage that kind of landscape. At the same time, I think because, again, as I said, we are in a banking area, so the volume of transactions that you process on a daily basis is quite large. It's quite large. So to put things to perspective, if I give you an example of one retail banking system from let's say a site like UK, it processes around 20 to 25 million transactions on a daily basis, which is a pretty large number. And when you're processing such large volumes, meeting the deadlines of preparing the management reports become a major challenge. So I think the aim of the global finance change was basically to resolve this issue, resolve these two issues by implementing a standardized ledger system that can help them consolidate the different and disconnected systems that were there because of the legacy issues, and also implement a globally accepted operating chart of accounts. So what we were Global Finance Change was trying to do was to kind of amalgamate and standardize everything under one roof. Now, I personally have led the implementation, or I would say the global implementation of a single financial information model that can integrate the data from different products into a standardized data set. So once we implemented that kind of standard data set, so irrespective of from where the product system is information is coming from, we kind of standardized into a standard information model. And once that was done, then we proceeded with the implementation of an integrated transformation platform that basically helped the bank demise the various individual specific regional ledgers that were there, and there was a standard single ledger that was implemented. So when we started that journey, it was a difficult area, it was a complex area, and I think we did not had much of coverage. But I'm happy to say that when we kind of when we covered that journey, more than 80% of the group's balance sheet now comes out of that transformation platform. And we are covering all major regions of US, Canada, UK, China, Vietnam, and Malaysia. So I think all major HSBC entities now come under the purview of that specific system. I think another project that I would like to mention is the bank has recently been, if I talk about the past couple of years, has been on a digital transformational journey, and they are using the cloud technology to use the cloud technology for its processing, basically, because if you remember, I mentioned about the volume of transactions that processing. So I think the benefit of cloud over other obsolete technologies, old technologies, is much higher. So I think our team was again involved in transitioning a area of reporting to the new standard interface, which was then used for processing on the cloud technology. Now, this was done as a pilot project specifically in the UK. And once we did that, I think that specific team was the first team across any bank globally to use the cloud for its processing its financial information. So I think that was the project that we did, and I think it was an industry recognized project, and I think it was published in the media as well. So I think I'm happy that I kind of managed to directly contribute to that project as well. So
Brilliant, brilliant,
so I think
brilliant.
those are the kind of projects that we have worked upon. And I think after the successful implementation of that pilot, it was a strategic decision because it was a successful pilot. I think the decision was taken to extend the cloud processing to all other areas of the bank. So which is again kind of showcases the fact that the critical aspect of the pilot was kindly achieved, and we managed to kind of achieve that level of transaction where the management had to decide to implement that. I think these are some of the key projects. I've also worked on the ring fencing project for UK, and then we have also worked on the local gap to IFRS gap implementation in I think 2018 and 2019. So I think those are some of the critical projects. I think I can speak for more than an hour on the type of projects that we did, but I think I would not go into too much of technical details because it becomes difficult for the users. So it was I think those are the kind of projects that I have managed to complete. Yeah.
Mr. Kumar, EVP for a reason. Great. That's really wonderful. If I may also ask you, just out of curiosity, does this global disruptions, even when it comes to the global chaos that is happening amidst or caused due to Russia and other wars that are happening around the globe, does this directly or indirectly affects the change, the financial change, or you said that if you create a infrastructure for a service, let's say, even when it comes to managing the volume and creating a task list for that. So how does it really affect? First thing is, it affects or not, and if it does, then what's the solution? Because I believe HSBC is also in the areas which are being affected with war zones and other disruptions.
See, I would not be able to mention on the specific on the technical details because I think some of the things are probably confidential. I can give you an example of, let's say, one of the major disruptions that affected, which was the COVID. So I think during COVID, I think we the bank highlighted a lot of gaps that were there. I think there were a lot of gaps that were highlighted, and immediately there were certain priority projects that were pushed in. So I think again, finance change was an area that was looked upon as an area that can deliver that kind of uh, quick quick wins, if I can call them, wherein those gaps need to be remediated immediately, because I think one of the projects that we did last year was there was a manual there was a manual transactions that were uh, making it difficult for the regional teams to complete reportings on time. So we then automated that project. Prior to COVID, never nobody kind of really bothered, because I think the volume was not very large. But once COVID
Mhm.
happened and it impacted such a large workforce, it kind of prompted the bank to get into action and kind of complete those type of identify those type of gaps, and then kind of complete push the finance change team to kind of bring about solutions that can help resolve those issues. Talking about the war scenario, I think yes, there are projects there are currently ongoing, but I think I would say they're more regional specific projects, not in the global purview of this thing. And then the finance change delivery is distributed across different areas within finance. So I think we have
Mhm.
counterparts sitting across Europe and Asia as well. Although we also work on global projects, but I think if there is a project that impacts specific regions, then I think it lands up in the plate of the person who's closely associated with those markets. So
Understood.
yeah.
Understood. Understood. That this make things clear for me, and of course for our viewers as well. Moving further, I'll again be specific with finance change. What kind of solutions would you like to advise to others, and especially those young and who are already into the finance profession, who want to take up this profession?
That's a good question, I would say, and I think I really hope that we had some level of that advice when we were kind of back during that time. So I think some of the key points that anyone who's joining this profession or who's a newbie in this line, one of the key things that a person can work upon is, you probably will have to think that your work is not small. So I think it's the entry level experience that counts. And if I talk about specifically about the banking area, if I think in going into the second half of career, when you are in a place wherein you can advise on strategic decisions, what the management is looking for is someone who can guide them and someone who can advise them on how their decisions or how the actions are going to impact the most bottommost employee, or how it impacts the person who's actually interacting with the customer. And if you are actually working in that level of entry level area, it, it's really important that you understand that end to end role. You understand that role, because I think it can very well come in handy when you are actually in a position probably 10 years from now, wherein you are advising the management about certain decisions. So I think management wants these kind of people. uh,
Mhm.
Another point, probably in continuation to the first point, is that try and look at the bigger picture. So what I mean by the bigger picture is, you may probably be just be doing loan processing in a bank branch. However, I think from your learning, to grow your learning, your focus should be to understanding what is the impact of this loan application and where does it impact. So probably, because it's a loan application that is processing, what all areas of the bank get impacted. Now when I'm talking about areas, I'm not talking about the accounting bit. Obviously that needs to be taken into account, but because if it's a loan, does it land up in some sort of liquidity or interest rate risk reporting, because you are expecting some inflows from the customer, because you
Mhm.
are giving the rates on certain interest rates. There is an interest rate risk that needs to be modeled for the bank. What are the key information from this application that the bank will use to kind of do that kind of modeling?
Mhm.
Similarly, I think you can probably pick up two applications to understand how probability of default or how impairment calculations really happen between those two applications. What is different between those two applications, that the bank is assigning a larger risk to a specific customer and a lower risk to other customer. So I think when you have that level of end-to-end knowledge, that is what will come in really handy in probably 5 years from now, or probably in a position wherein you are the one who are making those decisions. So I think the last point that I can say is that never stop learning. I think if there is no stopping learning in this area, there is no stopping growing in this area. I think you master one skill, you master one specific area, you move to the other and to the other and to the other, and I think before you realize, you probably would be in a better position than your peers and than your counterparts. So I think those are some of the kind of points that come to my mind.
Great. I hope that helps. I believe that will help the young professionals out there. To add up to this, if you can also help us or help our viewers understand the or just share the perks or the advantages of working in the field of finance.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, people should not think that it's all work, work, work. I think there are certain advantages of working in the change area. I think you get to work with a lot of different people who are spread across geographies, who belong to different cultures. You become really adaptive when you are speaking to persons sitting in the US and Canada, and the same day you're talking to someone who's sitting in Hong Kong. So I think it makes you kind of open your kind of brain cells, basically, so that you are adaptive and you understand what is acceptable in one culture, what is not acceptable in the other culture, and you kind of uh, put that in your working culture so that you interact with them accordingly. One of the key advantages that I personally think is that you get to travel a lot, because it's an area of change and you are working as a change consultant. There are a lot of on-site visits that usually happen. So I think that's the, again, a perk, I would say, that you get to travel a lot and go to see a lot of places as part of this role. Um, Another work-related advantage, if I can say, is that monotony does not set in. You are part of a change, and no 2 days are the same. So I think on one day you would probably be talking to a senior level management team, advising them on the solution, on the other day you would be probably talking to a relationship manager, advising on, or probably asking him questions related to certain products. So I think you, the breadth of activities that you do within this role is really spread across the spectrum. You do not have a monotonous job of 9 to 5 there, wherein you're just punching certain numbers or doing certain Excel calculations and coming back home. So I think that is another area that I think is, I can say, is a perk for that working in that area. Then I think I spoke about the cloud technology. I spoke about the different reporting areas. So that is again another advantage. You get to work with different areas and different departments, and you get to easily understand what are the silos within the bank, and what are we doing to break those silos with your colleagues. Recently, before I started working on the cloud platform, I was not very aware of how cloud works. What is the technical jargon of cloud? I don't understand. But I think slowly and gradually, you are developing your financial acumen as well as your technical acumen. So, which is again an added advantage, because the kind of knowledge that you possess at the end of the day is really throughout the life cycle of your knowledge spectrum, if I can call it. I think those are some of the points. And finally, I would say that you get to work on improving things. You are part of a team that is actually working on bringing about a change in the organization, bringing about better processes in the organization. You are working on developing better products for your customers. and and once you are able to do that, I think there's a kind of content that you feel that you are probably contributing to the right cause. You are eliminating a lot of waste. You're eliminating a lot of you're probably going towards the lean model. So I think that, again, I can call it as an advantage, because from a self motivational perspective, it's very important that your job is something that it contributes directly to the objectives of the organization, and it's that. So I think you're improving things, and those things are actually making a difference on the larger uh, scheme of things, I can say. So I think those are some of the perks and advantages that I can think of.
I mean, brilliant. I guess there are a lot of, there are a lot more, I believe, but these are the star points that Mr. Kumar shared. You get to travel, you get to learn, and most importantly, adding value and profession that has changed in itself as the title of it. So there's nothing to think about it in terms of it will never be, caught you in a monotonous
Yeah.
zone. So great, thank you very much, Mr. Kumar, and thank you very much for giving me your giving us your time for today. I understand that we have passed the time because we were having actually a great
Yeah.
conversation here, but I really appreciate you being today with us. So thank you so much for sharing such great insights with us, and we of course look forward to having a chat with you again in the future on some other trending topics in the international finance industry.
Sure, Sagar. It was a pleasure to be here. So I think I'm looking forward to it. I think it was a great interaction.
Pleasure's all ours, sir. Pleasure's all ours. And for our viewers, if you like this chat with Mr. Kumar, please don't forget to like and share this video, and also subscribe to FinTalk's YouTube channel to appreciate what we do. And you have more coming in from future leaders and industry leaders like Mr. Siddharth Kumar. This was Sagar for FinTalk World signing off. Thank you very much.